You know what it's like, you're trying to squeeze in that one extra aura, but even after getting charisma from an anointment, it still just won't fit. So what can we do? Well, if we have Eldritch Battery, we can simply get the Divine Blessing support and add it to our links, and now it's available to cast. So what's Divine Blessing doing? Well, it converts our auras into blessings. In addition to this, it gives us up to 29% increased effect of the supported aura at level 20. So what does turning it into a blessing actually mean? Well, it gives it a duration instead of being up all the time, and also it no longer reserves mana, it just costs a very large amount to cast up front. Now, prior to version 3.19, we could also use Life Tap in order to cast these. Unfortunately, this is no longer the case, and you have to have either mana or energy shield supported by Eldritch Battery to actually cast it. And as I mentioned a while ago, these consume an awful lot of either energy shield or mana. In my case, it's consuming 396. And that's actually because I'm using Inspiration support. If I take that off, it goes up to 536, which is absolutely ridiculous. So you are going to want to use Inspiration support with these in most cases to bring that cost down. You can also use other sources of reduced mana cost like from the tree, and percentage base will actually be really good here because the cost is so high. Now, for those of you worried about how to keep this up, because you can't even keep your flasks up, that's not really a problem here, because you don't have to wait for this to expire before you can actually cast it again. As soon as you have sufficient mana, just hit the key again and you will refresh its duration. For those of you thinking I'll just stick it on my left mouse button so it casts every time I move, this isn't advisable. Once it becomes a blessing, it gets a cast time and is no longer instant, and this is around 0.46 seconds, so as you're running around, every time you recast it, you're gonna pause for half a second, which could get you killed. Now, blessings are limited to one at a time, so you're not able to just chain hundreds of these on different keys. Now, other than trying to shoehorn an extra aura onto your build, does this gem have any other usages? Turns out it can be very useful for people using Mind Over Matter. With this, we're using a mana pool to soak up some of the incoming damage so it doesn't all hit our health, so reserving 50% of this probably isn't a great idea. Mind Over Matter builds normally have an awful lot of mana regen, so they can keep soaking that incoming damage. Using Divine Blessing really allows you to have that aura up, while not having that mana tightly reserved so you can use it to soak up some of that incoming damage. In the case of Mind Over Matter, because you have the mana available, we won't need to use Eldritch Battery to actually utilise this. Divine Blessing also has a counterpart called Eternal Blessing. Depending on how you're using this, this may actually be better for you. Eternal Blessing basically converts the aura to a blessing, but it's still always up, and it costs 0 mana. So what's the catch? The catch is it disables all other auras you have that are reserving mana. Now note there I specifically said mana. You can still have auras that are reserving life or are free. Now, before you think I'm just going to stick on an Essence Worm and get 2 really high-powered auras, don't. Essence Worm has that little line on it that says your blessing skills are disabled. However, Old's Uprising auras are free and will work with this. Unlike Divine Blessings, Eternal Blessings will allow you to support banner skills. Not that you'd want to, because that would be a huge waste. You can still use banner skills with Divine Blessing, but it will still reserve mana even if it's linked to it. There is a pair of boots in the game called March of the Legion. These have the line socketed gems are supported by level 25 Divine Blessing, so you can get a free Divine Blessing support on these boots. And at level 25 the aura effect will be 34% increased. Now, as we mentioned, auras that are supported by Divine Blessing use an awful lot of mana, so they can be used with things like Indigion. But do be aware that things like this often increase the mana cost of skills, and with skill costs already this high, they could become uncastable. Enjoyed the video? Tick on the like button. Visited more than once? Subscribe. And with that, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.